Today's video is about a word. The word is despondent. Yesterday I was thinking about something and the word popped in my head and I immediately made a note about it because I'm like, you know what, that would make a really good video. To some people, the word despondent may be used in a sentence about somebody that just lost their health insurance or a job. Sally was despondent over losing her job because she relied on the health benefits. That might be an accurate use of the word despondent. But there's another way of looking at this word despondent. And when I thought about this, I thought I have to get this message out there. When I think of the word despondent, I can envision my ex-coworkers in real life situations where their body language, their attitude, their personality, and everything about themselves changed because of a toxic work environment. So I went to the dictionary to find out what the actual definition is. Despondent is an adjective, and it's usually referring to people with profound feelings of hopelessness, discouragement, and gloom. It's usually due to experiencing difficulties that they believe they cannot overcome. It often results from losses or failure. And the origin of the word despondent is Latin for give up or lose hope. So that's the modern dictionary definition of the word despondent. I do disagree with a portion of this. It says it's often resulting from losses or failure. Keyword there, failure. I do not believe in what I'm discussing today fits that scenario. I am not talking about failures in society. I am not talking about people who feel despondent because they failed. This is nothing about somebody who tried their best and failed. This is about people who try their best and succeed, but can't get ahead, and they become despondent. Now let me explain. When I worked in corporate America, we were at the mercy of the higher-ups. And I'm just talking about where I worked here. You know, I'm not talking broadly because I can only speak to my experience of where I worked. We all have different experiences in the workplace. Mine was toxic. Mine was corporate management heavy. For every employee, they have 3 or 4 managers. That's unnecessary. That's wasteful. And that is how an employee becomes despondent. They can't get ahead, and it's due to no fault of theirs. It's due to the way the managers micromanage the employees. And keyword there, micromanage. There are good managers, and then there are micromanagers. I have never worked for a good micromanager. I've only ever worked for good managers. All the managers I worked for at the end, when I was about to leave corporate America, were terrible micromanagers. They put systems in place and they put policies and rules in place that never made sense to the person doing the work. They never did the work. So how could they understand what an employee needs help with or goes through or what assistance they need if they don't even stop to reflect and listen? And instead, they just run with an idea without even asking employees. I just want to address people that hold a career in corporate America or any toxic work environment, but especially where I came from, okay, that look despondent, but yet are very successful. So that's it right there. That's the key here to this video. People who look despondent. They walk around, they look like zombies. They have a straight face, they never smile. It's like this. And that's right there, the look I'm talking about today. That is a despondent look. If you've ever taken a psychology course, of course you've heard of Pavlov's dog. The dog salivates at the sound of a bell. Everybody knows that. Okay, so think about it, right? You're working at a job and you are becoming conditioned to be despondent. You're actually becoming conditioned to it. You don't even see it happening because you're successful. Your quota is make this much money a day and you achieve it. You're making bonuses. You're making a good salary. So how could you be anything other than happy? You'd be the opposite of despondent. But over time, because that goal keeps moving and it becomes unattainable, now your work hours, your workflow, your work ethics, out the window. You never see your family anymore. Vacation, what is that? Work becomes a 4-letter word in your universe. Your family never sees you. You never get home in time for dinner. You're always eating leftovers out of a carton somewhere because you've become despondent and you didn't even see it happening. And the reason I'm speaking out about it is because that almost happened to me. That literally almost happened to me. And now I'm telling you, don't let it happen to you. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Do not let a company turn you despondent. In my case, I had to get out of there. I had already had a heart attack because of the toxicity of the workplace. And that's something a lot of people don't even realize they're stepping into, and they don't know how to get out of it because you got bills, you got kids, you got family, you have food you need to buy, you have a rent or mortgage you have to pay, you have a car payment. When I was at the car dealership, people were signing up for car loans that were $800 to $1,500 a month. I couldn't believe my eyeballs. But it's true. And that is exactly why people become conditioned to becoming despondent in their careers, in their jobs. So I'm just going to set it forth like this. That is not a healthy workplace. That is not a healthy career choice. That is not a healthy job. You could be making 6 figures. You're paying your rent, your mortgage, your kids are fed, your kids are in college, your kids, whatever. You need the money. I get it. I'm a mom too. I have children in college. I know. Trust me. But it's not worth it. You need to get out of there. Because the managers are above you. They're going home every night at 5 o'clock happy. They're smiling when they get home. They're never late for dinner. They go home. They don't eat out of a carton. They eat on a plate. You're still at the office. It's 7:30 at night. It's a snowstorm. Now what? Now you got to drive home in dangerous conditions. That manager of yours that's driving you to this, he's already home having time of his life. In my case, I saw it coming. I saw it in advance. I knew it was coming, and I said, I got to get out of here. I planned ahead so that I could be in the position I am today. I planned ahead, and I got out of there, okay? Not everybody is so lucky. I saw people escorted out of the door that had been there for 30 years. That is no joke. Imagine you have worked at a job for 30 years and you are escorted out of a door by a manager who doesn't even know what you do on a daily basis. They have no respect, no appreciation. They don't care because they think you're disposable. They can hire somebody else and train them the way they want, even if their way is not correct. Now, I always say it's only a matter of time for that manager to hit the road because the company eventually will start taking a hit in losses because of their negligence as a manager. But in all honesty, why should you put yourself in that position and wait it out, right? You need to do what's right for you. And I'm telling you, I have no regrets. I gave up a high-paying job because I said to myself, there is no way it's worth it for me to go through all that I went through and my health declining rapidly. I had to see all kinds of doctors. The medical bills were stacking up. Ridiculous. All for the sake of this company. They didn't have my best interest in heart. When I see people in the workplace that are super successful and yet they're like, say, the top salesman in a company or the top whatever, right? And they become despondent. That is a warning sign, not only about them, like that's not good. to walk around. That's not good. That's not healthy. That's affected you. Your workplace has affected you, okay? But not only that, but you're not doing the best you can do, because now you're not the best you can be. You're not happy. Is that really your best? My advice is, if you have a spouse and they're in a toxic work environment and they're coming home every day and they're looking like this, and they're not able to eat off of the fine china because they're getting a takeout carton on their way home at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, or the amount of work is stacking up, but yet their pay doesn't go up. If you have a loved one, spouse, sister, brother, cousin, nephew, niece, daughter, son, anyone in your life, and you see those red flags, they're coming home late, they're going in early, they don't know if they're coming and going anymore, they're tired, they don't have time for the gym, they don't have time to do what they love, they don't have time for a vacation, they never take time off. God forbid they get sick, because they can't afford a sick day, because the work stacks up and they're threatened. They're not threatened directly with, we're going to fire you if you take a sick day. They're threatened with, if you don't finish all this work, we'll hire somebody that can do it better. Okay? So if you see somebody coming home and they're super successful and they're making bank, your bills are paid, but they're coming home like this, it's time to rethink that career before it's too late. Don't let them have a heart attack like what happened to me. We can do better as a society for our loved ones. And if you see these warning signs in a person, take action. Take action. Especially if you can float the household bills, let them take time off, because they're going to need time to recoup. It is 2026, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, by the way. And I left corporate America around, I don't even know the date now, November-ish, December-ish, 2024, right around there, fall of 2024, I left, and I went to work at a car dealership, which was even worse for other reasons. So my advice is, because I've been there and I've done it and I've gone down that awful road and I've recovered my health somewhat, I'm still reeling with some problems, but at least, I'm able to talk about it, where before it wasn't even something I could talk through. It was so upsetting and toxic and just draining and depressing. All right. This is real. The people out there that say, you're just entitled, you're just privileged, you're missing the point. This is real. And more companies are treating their employees like disposable garbage. If you're going to work every day and you get no pleasure out of your life, or if you get no pleasure out of your day and you're coming home like this, to the point where you're so exhausted that you can't even enjoy your family, you can't even enjoy a meal, the lo mein container is 3 days old and you don't even have the energy to make food, or your spouse made you food and you don't even have the energy to cut up that piece of meat and eat it. All I can say is this, from somebody who's been there, done that: don't waste your life spinning your wheels for someone else that can pull the wheel out from under you at any moment. Imagine you're on a big wheel and you're spinning it. You're spinning it for the company and you're rolling around, right? And they take that wheel and they pull it. What's going to happen? You fall on your face. Do not let any job, company, whatever, do that to you. Know the signs. Know the warning signs. We often talk about depression. People know the signs of depression now, most often. There's all kinds of mental health warnings and there's all kinds of mental health services. But I've never heard of anybody saying, if you're feeling despondent, come visit me at my office. If you're feeling despondent, we have a website for that. Never. It's always about depression, right? But despondent is like what happens before depression. Despondent is a conditioning done by an employer to get you to work harder for their benefit while you're taking less money, less pay, less benefit. Don't stay at a job where you feel hopeless or you feel like a failure, Because chances are, if you're still at that job, you're not a failure at all. So if you're a failure, you wouldn't be there, right? So this is why I say the definition of despondent includes often resulted from losses or failure, and that's where I disagree. You don't necessarily have to be a failure to become despondent. So again, I plead, if you have a loved one out there and you see the signs and you see this person becoming depressed, here's something. Go back and look at old photos. Go back a few years. Look at photos of you and your family. What are you doing? How is your loved one looking? Are they smiling in that photo? Are they smiling and having a nice time and living life and feeling good? And now what? Are they walking around like this? It's time to help them before it's too late. Thanks for watching today. Take care.